One of the things I find the most interesting about this question out the gate, particularly when it's asked to women of whether or not you will date a basic man or an average man, is rarely do I ever see women consider whether or not they themselves are basic or average.
Okay, I went to the gym this morning and one of the gym staff asked me a question, like a dating question. He asked me, what if I met, a guy, like, a basic guy who, does go to work. He can afford to take me to dinner. He can afford to take me to lunch. He can afford to do like, the little basic things, but he can't afford to, take trips and, he can't afford to, extravagant things. How would that make me feel? That's what the man asked me. I said, I could work with that as long as his goal is to elevate higher. I don't want anyone to be simply complacent and comfortable where they're at. Because if you settle for what he's giving you, he will never feel he has to do better. But will I talk to a man who at least has the basics? Yes. I'm telling you, that's all I ask is for men to have the basic bullshit. And unfortunately, men out here still don't. And I also told him that men and women and just everybody in general, you must date within your means. Now, a man having basic bullshit, like we can work that out. You got to be in therapy. You got to be getting help for whatever your past problems is. Basic bullshit. So for that type of man who has basic bullshit, you need not approach a woman who has stamps on her passport. Because if you can't afford to do a fancy dinner and you can't afford to do steak, lobster, and shrimp already, why would you go and try to pursue a woman who has stamps on her passport and she likes to travel? Not only does she like to travel outside the country. So I just always say date within your means. But sometimes date within your means aren't the people that you want. So you be wanting people who are outside of your means, and that's where your problem comes in at. So honestly, I wouldn't mind dating a man with basic bullshit, but when you be around me more, you'll see how hardworking I am, how motivated I am, how determined I am just as an individual female. So you're going to have to, be moving and grooving and on the grind, because I'm on the grind. And if you ain't on my level, you're eventually going to get left too, and that's just tea.
Okay, so I wanted to respond to this real quick. I thought it was an interesting question because it's something that I see coming up a lot in this current relationship climate, right? Where men and women are just trying to figure out what is going on in these dating streets. Now, one of the things I find the most interesting about this question out the gate, particularly when it's asked to women of whether or not you will date a basic man or an average man, is rarely do I ever see women consider whether or not they themselves are basic or average. Like, we forget that for every basic man, there is a basic or average woman. And being a basic or average woman is not disrespectful. It is not disrespectful. It's not dishonoring. It is not an insult. It is just a fact. Like, not everybody can be a queen. Not everybody can be a billionaire. Not everybody can be an elite. Like, there are ranks, there are levels, and it is what it is. So what I, again, always find so intriguing about these questions is like, why is there never a consideration as to whether or not the woman herself is average? That it's rarely a part of the conversation, but it's a real thing. Like, women can be average. Actually, most women are average. Actually, most women are basic. And again, that's not an insult. That's just a fact. But I think if there was more honesty around that, then I don't even think we would have these questions. Because water seeks its own level. And honestly, since the majority of human history, people have been dating in their station, dating in their lane, dating in their own social, economic class. It's just now in modern culture where a lot of those social constructs that were already there have been dismembered and disintegrated, and people are trying to create their own reality and their own sense of normalcy and doing things according to their own what they think is right. It's only in this current confusing space that those things have been convoluted, but on a basic level, Like, people date within their class, date within their means, and have always done so. An average woman will usually end up with an average man. This is why, like, the Cinderella story is usually so significant, because it's not common to see a rich man go with like an impoverished girl. And trust me, you're probably not going to see a rich man going with an impoverished girl who's ugly. If a rich man is going with a girl who's poor, it's because she's beautiful or his type of beautiful, right? And so that is all things that need to be taken into consideration. Like, and that brings me to my another point. What women consider average is different than what men consider average, because a woman may look at another woman who is not making as much money, or who doesn't have a college degree, or who a customer service rep, and say she's just an average woman. But a man may look at that customer service rep and put her as a high value woman if she is fit, feminine, friendly, if she's attractive, if she is that man's type, if she is easy to get along with, if she is very feminine, if she has nurturing qualities. And so the things that women consider average is a lot different than what men consider average. And I think this is also why there's a disconnect, because when she went in there, she talked about, dating on a level, and then she wanted to talk about women who can travel. A man is not getting turned on because a woman can travel, or because a woman has a passport. Like, that's not a thing. Men have not fought wars to try to win wives because they want a woman who can travel. Like, that's not a feminine attribute that men are looking for, right? They're looking for feminine, friendly women who are beautiful to them, attractive to them, who are appealing to them, who are nurturing, who are cooperative, who are just good to be around, who bring the peace. That's what men are looking for. And so it's interesting that when she's talking about, we keep finding somebody who's in the level, she's using the kinds of things that women find attractive in men. A woman is going to find a man who's more cultured, who's more culturated, who has traveled, probably more attractive. A woman is likely going to find a man who is considered more worldly, considered more well-rounded, who has more experiences, as more attractive. A woman will find that attractive. But most men, they don't really care. They don't care if she's went to Timbuktu and Japan and China. If she can't cook a meal and don't look good in heels, like, they don't. That's not really doing it for them. And so I think also when we're talking about, on their own level, both parties have to be considered into that. Like, this isn't a one-sided thing. In order for two people to get together, both people need to be getting something out of the deal. It's not just a woman gets what she wants or a man gets what she wants. Both people have to be getting something out of the situation. So a lady can have all these basic requirements that she wants, but a man still won't have his own basic requirements. And I think a lot of the disconnect is that people just don't understand, or there is a lack of willingness to, or there is a lack of concern to understand what the man wants. But here's the thing about it. Like, if a woman really wants to get together with a man, she's going to have to listen. And I'm not saying listen and then go and call the man misogynistic and then just throw the things out the door. If all we do is listen to what a man wants and call him misogynistic, then that's not getting this very well. You can at least listen or understand what heterosexuality means and how heterosexuality works among men. Then you can start to navigate those conversations a little differently. Because honestly, a lot of this stuff isn't even that difficult. People have been getting married since day one and having kids and babies and families since day one. The only reason it got complicated is because people have gotten so far away from what God intended and have forgotten basic common sense that they don't know what's up and what's down. But if you just return to some basic decency, return to what masculinity is and what femininity is, the things become really simple and become really easy. And if we throw away the high-mindedness and thinking that, I'm better than a man because I traveled, okay, that's dumb. Or I'm better than a man because I have a college degree, which likely comes with a whole bunch of different debt, that's kind of silly. If you throw all that stuff away and actually start to connect on the things that matter, I think we'd have a lot more success. But anyways, y'all, that is what I think. What y'all think? Let me know down in the comment section. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and I'll talk later. Bye.